Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paravajikacharya Ashtotarita Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paravajikacharya Ashtotarita Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. I think we can turn this off in 5 minutes. How's that? Okay. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On the 7th day of January, 2025 in San Diego, a reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in chapter 17, the divisions of faith, text number 18. Okay, page 652. Haribol, Nelson. Satkara, mana, pujartam, tapo, dambhena, chaivayat, kriyate, tadiha, proktam, rajasam, chalamadruvam. Before we proceed, didn't we have this word dambhena in a previous verse? Okay, I just was wondering if we did the same verse. Very common word. Okay. Okay. Satkaramana pujartam tapodambhena chaivayat kriyate tadiha proktam rajasang chalamadruvam satkaramana pujartam tapodambhena chaivayat kriyate tadiha proktam rajasang chalamadruvam satkaramana pujartam tapodambhena chaivayat kriyate tadiha proktam rajasang chalamadruvam satkaramana pujartam tapodambhena chaivayat kriyate tadiha proktam rajasang chalamadruvam satkaramana pujartam tapodambhena chaivayat kriyate tadiha proktam rajasam chalamadruvam satkaramana pujartam tapodambhena chaivayat kriyate tadiha proktam rajasam chalamadruvam satkaramana pujartam tapodambhena chaivayat kriyate tadiha proktam rajasam chalamadruvam satkaramana pujartam tapodambhena chaivayat kriyate tadiha proktam rajasam chalamadruvam satkaramana pujartam tapodambhena chaivayat kriyate tadiha proktam rajasam chalamadruvam. You need a book? Yeah, there's one at the end. You can just sit there if you want. Or you can pick the book up and sit on the bench if you like. Would you like to try? Sure. Go ahead. Satkaramana pujartam chaivayat tapodambhena chaivayat kriyate tadiha proktam rajasam chalamadruvam. All right, I'll read the word by words. Satkara, respect, mana, honor, puja, and worship, artam, for the sake of, tapaha, austerity, dambhena, with pride, cha, also, eva, certainly, yat, which, kriyate, is performed. Tat, that, iha, in this world, proktam, is said, rajasam, in the mode of passion, chalam, flickering, adruvam, temporary. Translation. Sorry. Translation. Penance performed out of pride and for the sake of gaining respect, honor, and worship is said to be in the mode of passion. It is neither stable nor permanent. Purport. Sometimes penance and austerity are executed to attract people and receive honor, respect, and worship from others. Persons in the mode of passion arrange to be worshipped by subordinates and let them wash their feet and offer riches. Such arrangements, artificially made by the performance of penances, are considered to be in the mode of passion. The results are temporary. They can be continued for some time, but they are not permanent. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara, the disciplic succession. So just to put this in context, this is called the divisions of faith. And Krishna is now going through the three modes of nature, and he's describing different activities and different things that we interact with in those different modes. He mentioned about foods. Food is so important, how we eat. That food in the mode of goodness is, let's see, what did he say? It's very healthy, it's nourishing, it's not too hot. Let's see. Foods dear to those in the mode of goodness increase the duration of life, purify one's existence, it gives strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. Such foods are juicy, fatty, wholesome, and pleasing to the heart. Now, of course, in Krishna consciousness, we don't eat anything that's not offered to Krishna. But this is food that you can offer to Krishna, which is truly in the mode of goodness. And it will be nourishing for the spirit as well as the body. That's the idea. It's wholesome. But foods that are too bitter, too sour, salty, hot, pungent, dry, and burning are dear to those in the mode of passion. Such foods cause distress, misery, and disease. Then, foods in the mode of ignorance. Food prepared more than 3 hours before being eaten, food that is tasteless, decomposed, and putrid, and food consisting of remnants and untouchable things is dear to those in the mode of darkness. And that's the one where Prabhupada has a long purport. But he's talking about all of them. So anyway, he goes into foods and also sacrifice. See, he's saying that there's three things that we have to always maintain, and that's emphasized in the next chapter, which is the last chapter. And that is yajna, dana, and tapa. Is sacrifice, charity, and austerities. And those three are also performed in devotional service. What is the most famous yajna of all? Harinam Sankirtan, Sankirtan Yajna. If you read the Bhagavatam, you'll find all kinds of sacrifices being described. The Ashwamedha sacrifice, which I always thought was kind of gruesome. You kill one or more horses, and then somehow that's auspicious and you go to heaven, you know. Indra wanted to do 100 horse sacrifices. Who wanted to do Prithu wanted to do 100 horse sacrifices. Indra got envious, came down, disguised himself as sannyasi, and stole the final horse. You'll find that in the fourth canto, I believe. Anyway, there are all kinds of sacrifices, but especially in this age, the main sacrifice is the chanting of the holy name together, Sankirtan Yajna. It's practical. There's anyone can do it. You don't have to be a Brahmin. You don't have to perform any preliminary activities. You can just join in, and it's very purifying, and it begins your devotional service, and is in fact the substance of devotional service in this age, especially. So then, and there are also austerities, things that we accept. The four regular principles; those are austerities. Getting up early in the morning. To have that early morning hour for bhajan and worshiping the Lord, that's often a big austerity when you first start out. So, and then charity. Now, charity, is a basic principle of Vedic culture, Especially, it's very auspicious to give charity to the Brahmins, because the Brahmins are by nature meant to live very, very simply. And so they always need foodstuffs and things like that, and it's very pleasing to Krishna. A real Brahmin is Vaishnava. So anyway, that's the principles he's talking about. And like everything else, there are different modes of nature that govern it, and different results that you get from different kinds of austerities, penances, and charity. So the austerity in the mode of goodness, which he described in the previous verses, 3 verses. You remember that? Yes, ending with 17, I think. The 17 described these are the austerities in the mode of goodness. Maybe we'll review those later. But let's go forward and we'll see the different kinds of, what did we did so far 18, right? Okay, so let's go on to 19. I just wanted to put it in context. Go ahead.
Say that food prepared which are 3 hours old.
Yes.
But we see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very impressed with one of our Acharya, Raghunath Das Goswami. He was eating the food.
Rice, the old rice that was rejected by the cows.
Yes, that was definitely more than 3 hours.
That rule doesn't apply to prasadam. How else do you get, oh, Babu, I just came from Jagannath Puri. Would you like this, cookie? It's probably 2 weeks old, or more. But it's okay if it's prasadam. Okay, text 19. Muda grahen atmano yat pidya kriyate tapaha padasyot sadhanartam va tattamasanudaritam. Penance performed out of foolishness with self-torture or to destroy or injure others is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Purport. There are instances of foolish penance undertaken by demons like Hiranyakashipu, who performed austere penances to become immortal and kill the demigods. He prayed to Brahma for such things, but ultimately he was killed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. To undergo penances for something which is impossible is certainly in the mode of ignorance. Now, just one note on Prabhupada's use of language, because that's my specialty. Prabhupada would often use the phrase austerities and penances. Now, if you look up the word penance in the dictionary, you'll find that it's something prescribed generally in the Catholic Church to atone for sins, you see. Hiranyakasipu did not perform any penances. He was not repentant. To perform penance, you got to be repentant. Was he repentant? He was the opposite of repentant. So those austerities, it's like this whole tradition of Tantra, in India, where you perform these austerities to get a power to kill your enemy, right? It's really much in the mode of ignorance. You probably heard about that, right? Yeah, that's part of the Vedas, but it's a part that we don't perform. We may perform austerities, fasting, oftentimes on Janmashtami, devotees have trouble fasting all till midnight, But, and Prabhupada was very lenient about that. Oh, if you can do that, you can, eat a little light fruit or something like that, But the idea is to try to do it as far as possible. I remember, I'm not bragging or anything, it was no big deal, but I remember years and years ago, we had a Pujari who was very, very learned and very austere, and he was from South Africa. He was a college graduate, and he was very learned, and we were just discussing outside about Ekadashi, and he mentioned in passing that he does Nirjala Ekadashi. Nirjala means you don't even drink water. It's not that you just don't drink water, but you drink juice. No, you don't drink anything. And so that's the standard. The actual standard of Ekadashi is to not drink anything or eat anything, what to speak of grains and beans, and stay up all night, no sleeping, and do chanting and bhajan all night. And I did that sometimes. It's very far out. I tried it once in Vrindavan. I was in Vrindavan, And I knew about the 24-hour kirtan. You know, it's very famous. Andrew was still with us at that time. He wasn't doing it in the middle of the night. But I said, okay, I'm going to go to the temple, you know, and I'm doing this all night, you know, stay up. So I got in the temple, and then there was two guys, just two, you know, doing the kirtan. Very kind of easygoing kirtan, you know, and I tried to stay up, and I was just falling asleep. I couldn't do it that night. But I did it in Miami a couple of times, and I chanted in the temple, you know, I had my tambur and everything. It was far out. It's very enlivening. So anyway, he was talking about that, and he said, yeah, I do nirjal. So he's a younger disciple. I'm a Prabhupada disciple. I should be able to do this nirjal also. So I started doing it, and I did it for years actually. And when I stopped doing it was when I happened to be in Mumbai. I had some friends there, and how did I make friends with them? They came as a couple. I don't know if they had children at that time. And he was studying some computer stuff here in San Diego. And so he would come to class, and they would both come to class. And eventually he was going back, he got his degree. And I think they bought a whole set of Bhagavatams, and I went to where they were living, and I installed it. We did a whole puja for the Bhagavatam and everything, which you can do. So then they settled in Bombay, and he was working there. They had this nice daughter and grandfather figure. And so I was visiting them, and it was Ekadashi. I said, okay, I'm going to do my nirjal, you know. But it was pretty hot. It was there in Bombay. And I was perspiring, you know, and I can't drink any water. You know, I said, oh, God. I got so weak. I said, okay, I'm a little too old for this nirjal now. So that's when I stopped doing it. But that's a real austerity. And so many other fast days, there's half-day fasts and all these. So these are austerities of the mode of pure goodness, because we're doing it to please Krishna and advance in devotional service. So austerity, penance, and charity, the real devotee is always really giving everything to Krishna. So that's the highest principle of charity, you know. But it all depends on your motivation and what mode you're in, you know. So we're going to, here, it's what is this? Tapasya, in the mode of passion. Now, once again, this word damba, dambena, when you see with damba, there's an aspect of hypocrisy to it. And it's perfectly described here, for pride, for the sake of gaining respect. In other words, you're not performing some austerity to please Krishna. You're performing some austerity so that you'll be seen as someone austere. It's a self-centered motive for austerity, you know. And that's common. You know, certainly Hiranyakashipu, I guess he was in the mode of ignorance. But it certainly wasn't to worship Krishna, that's for sure. You know. So what your aim is will define also what mode of nature you're in. Okay, now charity. We did 19, right? Datavyam iti yad danam diyate nupakarine deshe kale cha patre cha tad danam satvikam smritam. Charity given out of duty, without expectation of return, at the proper time and place, and to a worthy person, is considered to be in the mode of goodness. Purport. In the Vedic literature, charity given to a person engaged in spiritual activities is recommended. There is no recommendation of giving charity indiscriminately. Spiritual perfection is always a consideration. Therefore, charity is recommended to be given at a place of pilgrimage and at lunar or solar eclipses, or at the end of the month, or to a qualified Brahmin or a Vaishnava devotee, or in temples. Such charities should be given without any consideration of return. Charity to the poor is sometimes given out of compassion, but if a poor man is not worth giving charity to, then there is no spiritual advancement. In other words, indiscriminate charity is not recommended in the Vedic literature. Now, I remember this is from the Bible. Isn't there some injunction to try to do it anonymously? Does anyone know the Bible? Probably. To give charity. In other words, if you give charity, the highest thing is if you're not even looking to be honored as a charitable person. You're doing it purely to. Oh, really? That's also that? That's interesting, yeah.
I think it's more prayer. Like, it says go in your closet and pray, like, in prayer.
Oh, okay, so don't make a big, I'm praying. In other words, you're not looking for some recognition. Yeah, so that principle is there throughout all of them. But, yeah, I mean, to drop some money in the hundi is charity in the mode of goodness. You know, you're not, especially if it's anonymous. You know, you're not like, oh, so-and-so gave $100 to the deities. Oh, that's very nice. Yes, come forward. You know, better that. I mean, it's okay. You know, if you, but it's better if you just do it anonymously, because you're simply being pleased by the fact that Krishna will be able to use the money. That'll be good for the temple. You know, so there's that. All right, so that's charity in the mode of passion, right? Yeah, go ahead. Oh, you have to hold it till it goes.
What about charity given out of a sense of obligation?
Well, it always depends on who the recipient is. You know, I mean, if you feel obliged that you've gotten so much benefit from Krishna, he's so merciful and so forth, and that's your mode. That's fine. In other words, you're trying to reciprocate. You're realizing that no matter how much I give, I can never really repay, you know, the benefit. You know, that mood is important. Just like we feel for Srila Prabhupada, you can never really repay the blessings you got. You know, which is like the ultimate blessing. Giving you a means to escape from birth and death and go back to attain infinite happiness and forever. You know, how can you repay that? But it's important to try. You know, in other words, it's important to try. So feeling obliged and wanting to give as much as you can to the preceptor, to Krishna, to the furtherance of Krishna consciousness is definitely in the mode of goodness, pure goodness. It's very worthy. You know. All right, now, oh, yeah, a question, okay.
Solar eclipse and lunar eclipse.
Say again?
Lunar eclipse and solar eclipse. Why it is important to give...
charity, in the, it says there, in times of eclipses?
Yeah.
Okay.
And at the end of the month.
Okay, that's in the mode of goodness, right?
Yeah, these three things is mentioned.
Oh, here it is. Okay, that's in the purport to 20, right? Okay. Oh, here it is. Recommend to be given at a place of pilgrimage and at a lunar or solar eclipses or at the end of the month or to a qualified Brahmin or Vaishnava. Yeah, we're not, here in the West, we're not so... I don't remember really getting into the eclipses thing, you know. I think in India, it's more observed. I mean, Lord Chaitanya famously was born at a lunar eclipse, you know, and everyone was, as they usually did, was chanting the holy name.
Okay.
You know.
That is the time we do more chanting and meditation, all those things during the eclipse.
You do that in India?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't eat food.
Huh? And you fast too?
Fast.
Okay. Well, that's why you're strong in Krishna consciousness, because you did that.
But here the temple is open?
Yeah. You don't worry about the eclipses.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe we should. Maybe that'll improve things. All right. Here we go. Mode of goodness charity. Adesha kale yadanam apatrebhyas chadiyate asatkratam avagyatam tattamasamudaritam. And charity performed at an impure place, at an improper time, to unworthy persons, or without proper attention and respect, is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Purport: contributions for indulgence in intoxication and gambling are not encouraged here. That sort of contribution is in the mode of ignorance. Such charity is not beneficial. Rather, sinful persons are encouraged. Similarly, if a person gives charity to a suitable person but without respect and without attention, that sort of charity is also said to be in the mode of darkness. Okay, so how you perform these things, what your mood is so important also. Say again? Oh my God. Okay, text 21. Yattu pratupakaratam palamuddishya va punaha diyate chat parikrishtam taddanam rajasam smritam. But charity performed with the expectation of some return, or with a desire for fruited results, or in a grudging mood, is said to be charity in the mode of passion. Performed. Charity is sometimes performed for elevation to the heavenly kingdom, and sometimes with great trouble and with repentance afterwards. Why have I spent so much in this way? Charity is also sometimes given under some obligation at the request of a superior. These kinds of charity are said to be given in the mode of passion. There are many charitable foundations which offer their gifts to institutions where sense gratification goes on. Such charities are not recommended in the Vedic scripture. Only charity in the mode of goodness is recommended. Yeah, you see, one of the things about the material world is that there's always a degradation, through the different ages. Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara, and Kali Yuga. And gradually the modes of passion and ignorance become more prominent and controlling. So all of these practices, which can be likely, in the Satya Yuga, everyone is practicing in the mode of goodness, generally, But gradually over time, these other kinds of charity became prominent. And basically the idea is that if you're steeped in the mode of passion and ignorance, then whatever you do that's under that mode, which will likely be, it will just deepen your entanglement in the material energy. That's the thing. So these things, just like, Prabhupada talks about the Kali Kirtan, it's supposed to chant the name of Krishna, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, But they invent, those who are into worshipping Durga and Kali for material benefits, there's the bhaktas, they're chanting their Hare Krishna, so we can chant our Kali Kirtan and have a great time doing it. But it's not going to produce the same effect. It's not going to help you transcend the modes of nature, help to go back to Godhead. It's the same thing externally, but because of the corruption, it increases your attachment and your entanglement in the material world. That's why I like to bring up this, what is it called? The phrase slips my mind. Oh, Taurya Trikena. Taurya Trikena. This is a phrase in Sanskrit referring to the singing, dancing, and playing musical instruments. That's where the three comes in, And it's mentioned, I think, in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. But it's this is just see how those things can be such an element of entanglement. Rock dances, I always give the example. Forgive me, of this fairly new gym that opened up on Cass, called the Yard Gym. It's from Australia. It's not an ordinary gym. I mean, we've had so many fitness centers, you go in and there's 100 stationary cycles and you get on there, and then you take a shower and you leave, whatever. No. Here you got music blasting, you've got coaches. Sometimes they come out of the thing and run around the block, I swear. You've seen it. Yeah. And so, I walk by there, I do my walk, I'm doing a japa walk. I'm Hare Krishna, and they're blasting their music, and people are coming. All these young people, you got to be under 30 to get into it. You're in training. So I think, this is the temple for the body. This is the temple to the body. And you got the music, the mode of ignorance music. So they're performing austerities. In the mode of ignorance. To strengthen the body, to increase the sense gratification, all this stuff. So that's you can recognize that. So it's not just charity and penance and austerity and sacrifice, but what is the motive and under whose guidance are you performing it? That's the whole idea. And sacrifice, especially the Sankirtan Yajna, is a great boon to humanity, and it's all attractive. So that's why Krishna is teaching us, to the different principles here by the modes of nature. Okay, so he went through the three now. He discussed charity and austerity and sacrifice in the three modes. Now he's going to a different little perspective. Text 23. Om Tat Sarati Nirdesho Brahmanas Trivadhas Mitaha Brahmanastena Vedascha Yagyascha Vihitas Para. From the beginning of creation, the three words Om Tat Sat were used to indicate the Supreme Absolute Truth. These three symbolic representations were used by Brahmins while chanting the hymns of the Vedas and during sacrifices for the satisfaction of the Supreme. Purport. It has been explained that penance, austerity, sacrifice, charity, and foods are divided into three categories: the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. But whether first class, second class, or third class, they are all conditioned, contaminated by the material modes of nature, and that's apparently even the mode to goodness. When they are aimed at the Supreme, Om Tat Sat, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Eternal, they become means for spiritual elevation. In the scriptural injunctions, such an objective is indicated. These three words, Om Tat Sat, particularly indicate the Absolute Truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Vedic hymns, the word Om is always found. One who acts without following the regulations of the scriptures will not attain the Absolute Truth. He will get some temporary result, but not the ultimate end of life. The conclusion is that the performance of charity, sacrifice, and penance must be done in the mode of goodness. Performed in the mode of passion or ignorance, they are certainly inferior in quality. The three words Om Tat Sat are uttered in conjunction with the holy name of the Supreme Lord. For example, Om Tad Vishnu. Whenever a Vedic hymn or the holy name of the Supreme Lord is uttered, Om is added. This is the indication of Vedic literature. These three words are taken from Vedic hymns. Om iti etad brahmano nedeshtam nama indicates the first goal. Then Tattvam Asi, Chandogya Upanishad 687, indicates the second goal. And Sad Eva Saumya, Chandogya Upanishad 621, indicates the third goal. Combined, they become Om Tat Sat. Formerly, when Brahma, the first created living entity, performed sacrifices, he indicated by these three words the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the same principle has always been followed by disciplic succession. So this hymn has great significance. The Bhagavad Gita recommends, therefore, that any work done should be done for Om Tat Sat, or for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When one performs penance, charity, and sacrifice with these three words, he is acting in Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is a scientific execution of transcendental activities which enables one to return home back to Godhead. There is no loss of energy in acting in such a transcendental way. Now, I don't know if it's in the Bhagavad Gita, but there's a place in Prabhupada's books, and I think I've heard him say it in a lecture, that the Hare Krishna mantra includes Om. You don't have to really worry about Om if you're chanting Hare Krishna. After all, it says one should chant Hare Krishna 24 hours a day. Where is there time for Om? Om Tat Sat. I don't have anything against Om Tat Sat. I remember when I first began yoga practice, seriously back in '72. I was at an ashram where we did the exercises, the postures or asanas, and then we did a little pranayama. We learned pranayama, and then we did some chanting, and we chant different mantras. Om Namo Shivaya, Om Namo Shivaya. We do that a little bit, and there were a few others, and then there was a little Hare Krishna. And then we're supposed to meditate. And you were told, okay, you can pick a mantra for meditation. You can pick it. So what else? I picked Om. That was the most famous. I'd heard of Om before. So I started trying to meditate on Om, Om, Om. It's very difficult to stay awake. Then I read a more than a pamphlet. It was like a little booklet from the gift shop on the glories of the Hare Krishna mantra, because the guru of the preceptor there, who had started this mission in the West, he had been in South Africa for years. There's a big Indian community in South Africa. I think there's still, maybe at that time anyway, this is 50s, 60s, 70s. So he had some ashram there or whatever. I don't even call it a temple. But they had been chanting for 25 years with non-stop, Akhanda Kirtan. Now I suspect that in the middle of the night it was probably recording. But anyway, it was going on for 25 years. So there were all these essays by people I never heard of, about the glories of Hare Krishna. Oh, maybe I should take that as my mantra. So that's when I got interested in Hare Krishna. I visited the temple and I learned more about that. And I started actually chanting Hare Krishna. And it blew away all the other mantras. It's definitely the Maha Mantra, I could tell. So there, Krishna's speaking 5,000 years ago, and he's emphasizing this Om Tat Sat. But when he came 500 years ago, he emphasized Hare Krishna. But I mean, if you're going to do deity worship, then there's so many mantras. It's Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pashanti Suyaro Deviva Chaksharatam. This is one of the mantras that is commonly used in deity worship, which Prabhupada mentions in the next verse. Did we do 24? Tasmad Omit Yudahritya Yagyadana Tapakriya Pravartante Vidhanokta Satatam Brahmavadinam. Therefore, transcendentalists undertaking performances of sacrifice, charity, and penance in accordance with scriptural regulations begin always with Om to attain the Supreme. Purport: Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam, Rig Veda 122.20. The lotus feet of Vishnu are the supreme devotional platform. The performance of everything on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead assures the perfection of all activity. Text 25. Tadit Janabi Sandaya Palam Yagyatapakriyaha Dana Kriyascha Vibidha Kriyante Mokshakangshibihi. Without desiring fruitive results, one should perform various kinds of sacrifice, penance, and charity with the word tat. The purpose of such transcendental activities is to get free from material entanglement. Purport: to be elevated to the spiritual position, one should not act for any material gain. Acts should be performed for the ultimate gain of being transferred to the spiritual kingdom, back to home, back to Godhead. Text 26-27. Sadbhave sarubhave cha sadityetat prayujyate prashaste karmani tata satshabdha partayujyate yagye tapasi cha stiti sad iti chocyate karma chaiva tadartiyam saditye bhavidiyate. The Absolute Truth is the objective of devotional service, and it is indicated by the word sat. The performer of such sacrifice is also called sat, as are all works of sacrifice, penance, and charity, which, true to the absolute nature, are performed to please the Supreme Person, O Sanapita. Purport: the words prashaste karmani, or prescribed duties, indicate that there are many activities prescribed in the Vedic literature, which are purificatory processes, beginning from the time of conception up to the end of one's life. Such purificatory processes are adopted for the ultimate liberation of the living entity. In all such activities, it is recommended that one vibrate Om Tat Sat. The words Sadbhave and Sarubhave indicate the transcendental situation. Acting in Krishna consciousness is called sattva, and one who is fully conscious of the activities of Krishna consciousness is called a sadhu. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 3.25.25, it is said that the transcendental subject matter becomes clear in the association of the devotees. The words used are satam prasangat. Without good association, one cannot achieve transcendental knowledge. When initiating a person or offering the sacred thread, one vibrates the words Om Tat Sat. Similarly, in all kinds of performance of yajna, the object is the Supreme, Om Tat Sat. The word Tadartiyam further means offering service to anything which represents, offering service to anything which represents the Supreme. It should be represents there. Including such service as cooking and helping in the Lord's temple, or any other kind of work for broadcasting the glories of the Lord. These supreme words, Om Tat Sat, are thus used in many ways to perfect all activities and make everything complete. I'm going to finish this chapter. Ashradaya hutam dattam tapas taptam kritam chayat asadit yuchate bharta nachatat prechano iha. Anything done as sacrifice, charity, or penance without faith in the Supreme, O son of Pritha, is impermanent. It is called asat and is useless both in this life and the next. Purport. Anything done without the transcendental objective, whether it be sacrifice, charity, or penance, is useless. Therefore, in this verse, it is declared that such activities are abominable. Everything should be done for the Supreme in Krishna consciousness. Without such faith, and without the proper guidance, there can never be any fruit. In all the Vedic scriptures, faith in the Supreme is advised. In the pursuit of all Vedic instructions, the ultimate goal is the understanding of Krishna. No one can obtain success without following this principle. Therefore, the best course is to work from the very beginning in Krishna consciousness, under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. That is the way to make everything successful. In the conditional state, people are attracted to worshipping demigods, ghosts, or yakshas like Kuvera. The mode of goodness is better than the modes of passion and ignorance, but one who takes directly to Krishna consciousness is transcendental to all three modes of material nature. Although there is a process of gradual elevation, if one, by the association of pure devotees, takes directly to Krishna consciousness, that is the best way. And that is recommended in this chapter. To achieve success in this way, one must first find the proper spiritual master and receive training under his direction. Then one can achieve faith in the Supreme. When that faith matures, in course of time, it is called love of God. This love is the ultimate goal of the living entities. One should therefore take to Krishna consciousness directly. That is the message of this 17th chapter. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 17th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of divisions of faith. And since we have a few minutes, this verse that Prabhupada refers to in the previous purport is very important. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti ritkarna rasayana katha tadjo shanara swapavarga vartmani shraddha ratir bhaktir anukramishati. Notice that word shraddha, which means faith. Prabhupada is talking about the progression from faith to pure love for Krishna. And he may be referring to those two verses by Rupa Goswami, from the path or the ladder from Shraddha to Prema. Adhau Shraddha, Tatak Sadhu Sangha. And that Sadhu Sangha is what is emphasized in the first verse. So let's just think about that verse, because that verse is kind of foundational for the whole Krishna consciousness movement. So this verse is spoken by Lord Kapila Dev to his mother, his disciple, his mother. And he's talking. It's in the middle of 8 verses which I discovered are a nice ashtaka, the Sadhu Sangashtaka, embedded in the Bhagavatam. And I won't go through the whole thing now. You may have heard me do it before, but it's very instructive. And basically, he's talking about the importance of the critical importance of association with sadhus, and that, of course, includes the spiritual master. And sadhu is titikshava karunika suridak sarvadehinam. He's very tolerant, very merciful, a friend of all living beings, including the cows and everyone else. Ajata Shatrava, has no enemy, has no enmity toward anyone. Someone may see him as an enemy, but he doesn't see anyone else as an enemy. And therefore, because of all of this, very shanta, very peaceful, these are the ornaments of a sadhu. So, then a few verses later, he talks about the importance of association. And it's not just sangha. Sangha means association, but prasanga. And pra is always an intensifier. You see, it always means, it means first class, meaningful association, not just chit chat, but you know. So here's the verse, and it's kind of foundational for the whole movement. That's what this movement is founded for. Satam prasangan mama virya sambido bhavanti ritkana rasayana kata tadjoshanat ashu apavarga vartmani shraddha ratir bhakti anukramishati. So satam prasangan. Now prasangan means basically in this context coming together and hearing each other glorify the Lord. The perfect prasanga, sadhu prasanga is kirtan. We chant together, you know, and I chant, you hear, you chant, I hear. You know, so, but here he goes on. Satam prasangan mama virya sambido. What will you hear if you gather for glorification? This is Kapila Dev speaking. He said, you'll hear my glories. You'll hear me being glory. You know, he's Krishna. Mama virya sambido. And it's bhavanti ritkana rasayana. The word rasayana is a life-giving elixir. It's a life-giving elixir for the mind and the heart and the ear. But ritkana rasayana kata. Tad joshanad. Applying this method of getting together and glorifying me and hearing. I'm sorry, that's my fault. Blasted. Chajo asu, quickly, apavarga vartmani. Now apavarga is a word that means liberation. I don't have time to get into why it means liberation. But it means liberation, the path of liberation. Then here's the result. We quickly go on these steps. Shraddha, rati, bhakti, anukramishti. Shraddha means your faith deepens in Krishna consciousness, the process of Krishna consciousness, and also faith in the self that you can do it. Because you're feeling yourself advance, you see. So the apavarga vartmani, the path of liberation. So shraddha, rati, attraction to the Lord and to the devotees of the Lord. Rati and bhakti. Bhakti here means love, actually, love for Krishna. One after another you can develop step by step. And it all depends on coming together and glorifying the Lord. And that beginning with kirtan. But also what we're doing here, all these classes and things. Here, reading the books, we're associating with Krishna. He's speaking and Prabhupada is speaking. Most auspicious association in the universe. Just by reading the books, the sound vibration is there. So that's you know the importance of it. And then he goes on a few verses later and says this. The next verse says this is the easiest form of yoga. It's you know, you don't have to sit in a certain way. You don't have to fast. You don't have to go off to the Himalayas. You come together and glorify the Lord, you know, under the guidance of the realized soul. And it's open to everybody. Everyone can be purified. And that's what this movement is all about. So, okay, we have 2 minutes. Time for you know what. Any requests? All right. So, what was I? Oh, please, go ahead. Hold on. We have mics because we have an audience out there on YouTube.
Hello, testing. Okay. So why is it so important to have like a full moon or an eclipse or something like this? Why is the moon so valuable in these? You know, I'm not going to guess. The one thing that comes to mind is the conjunction of the full moon with the birth of the Lord as Lord Chaitanya. Mm-hmm. And it was traditional at that time for everyone to chant the holy name. So he appeared along with the holy name being chanted, you know. I mean, because that was his whole mission, to spread the holy name. But these eclipses are, you know, they're said to be, in one sense, inauspicious because you have Rahu, you know, an inauspicious planet covering and covering the moon or covering the sun. I forget both maybe. So you want to be performing kirtan to counteract the inauspicious qualities of the eclipses.
But I haven't really studied so much of that, and so I wouldn't want to guess. But it's part of the culture. All right, so here's our little poem for the day. Vidachaya mahidandam dinabando dayangba gatadiheta bhavatta karchadunyama masti nipatata shatakoti nimalang vandavambas tadapakila biyodak stuyate chatakena. The chataka subsists on rain it catches in midair, and so it's always praying to the cloud to send its fare. Yet though that cloud may send a thunderbolt instead of rain, that bird continues praying fervently despite the pain. Just like the chataka, my mind is fixed upon one goal, and that is you, O Lord, most kind to every fallen soul. So whether it is punishment you send or mercy sweet, I'll always pray to you for service to your lotus feet. Very important. But now, if I get to do one of these, Balaram has organized a Sunday feast the next, I guess, for a month on this theme of determination. So if I get to do it, I'm going to quote that verse. You can look for it. Despite all difficulties, one has to stay fixed and continue praying to the Lord. Hare Krishna. Okay. So we finished the chapter, right? Okay, so we'll begin chapter 18 tomorrow. And you're all invited.